One of my favourite things to make when I want something warm and fluffy on the inside, you know when you're feeling a little bit sick, is chicken dumplings. They're really easy to make, and it starts with an onion. I get one onion like this and slice it nice and fine. Now the onion, the celery, the carrot and the garlic in front of me, I'm going to sweat them off in a pan, and they're going to be the flavour and the colour that go all the way through the dumpling. Now if you don't want to chop it nice and fine, you could use a grater or just put it through your food processor. Or the trick is cut it into long strips like that, and then with a sharp knife, cut it all the way through till you get these lovely little tiny pieces. Now carrot is always going to be a bit harder, so it's one of the things you can put on a grater. But one of the tricks, if you want to cut it nice and fine, is to cut it through like that, pop it on its side, and that gives you a flat surface to work on. And when you slice it all the way through like this, it's really easy to just lay down nice and flat and then slice it into strips. And once you've got it into the strips like this, it's easy to turn it on this side here like that and then cut it into tiny little pieces. And you can see it's really, really easy to do. The garlic is really easy. Smash like that and then chop it through a couple of times. And the thyme, fresh thyme, is perfect. And I just cut the tips off like this. When it is really fresh like this, young, the stalks are quite soft and they're perfect. And when the thyme gets a little bit older, the stalks become really sort of woody. Then the butter's really easy. I cut it through the top like that, peel that off like that, and drop the butter in the pan and turn the gas on. There we go. Then the onion, the thyme, the celery go into the pan, and what I'm going to do is sweat them down nice and gently till they become nice and soft and translucent. Some salt goes in there and some pepper. A couple of minutes and they'll be ready. Now to make the stuffing, I've got a bowl here, and I love this wooden bowl because it's so easy to work around. Now the chicken here is being poached in some white wine and a little bit of chicken stock. Now what I do is pop it into the chicken stock. When it's hot, bring it up to the boil and then turn it off. About 5 or 6 minutes later, it'll be cooked all the way through and be nice and tender. If you find it's not cooked enough, you can always turn the gas back on and let it cook for a few more minutes. And when it's cooked all the way through, I like to let it cool down in the liquid. That way I find it stays nice and juicy. And slice it all the way through until you've got this fine dice. I like it like this, but if you wanted to, you could just shred it with a fork and tear off pieces. It's just the same thing. Now, to make it even tastier, you need plenty of herbs, and I love chives. They're really easy to cut, and they give you a great flavour. I love the soft flavour of the chives, but you know what? Whatever you've got works really, really well in these dumplings. The trick with it is, the more herbs, the better. Fresh continental parsley is delicious. This is flat leaf parsley, one of my favourite parsleys. I don't like the curly leaf parsley as much, but you know what? If you've got curly English parsley, that'll work just as easily. Now, a rough chop like that, and I'll pop it into my bowl. Some flour, because we need to bind it all together. About half a cup of flour, and some breadcrumbs, about 1.5 cups of fresh breadcrumbs. They're really easy to make. Pop your bread into your food processor, whirl it around till you get this nice, fine mixture of bread. So I like to take the crust off it, but if you want to keep the crust on, it doesn't make any difference at all. Now I like to add a little bit of ricotta cheese. This is a great cheese and it's really soft and doesn't have a strong flavour, but I like the texture of it. It's really nice. And to make my dumpling nice and moist, I'm going to add some milk. I love this milk. It's Australian milk. And you know what? Every time you buy branded milk like this in a supermarket, you're supporting Australian farmers. Have a look at how good this milk is. Out comes the cream. This is going to be delicious. Now I like to add a good 1/4 cup to this and I'll soften it up beautifully. And the rest of the milk, I've just helped an Australian farmer. That is delicious. A little bit of butter goes in there, and of course I'll crack an egg straight into the middle there like that. Some salt and pepper because we want it to taste really nice. There we go. And some pepper as well. And to bring it all together, I'm going to add my vegetables that have been cooking. Normally I would let this cool down, but you know what? I'm a bit of an expert with this sort of thing, so in they go. I'll do what I call hot loading. Pop it over there, turn that off, and then stir this around. And once it's combined beautifully, I'll be able to make my little balls and poach them in my chicken stock. Dumplings are nearly ready. Now's the time to take some butter, get it into the pan over there, and then brown it off. And what I mean by browning it off is you want to cook it till it starts to get that golden, nutty brown. That will be poured all over the dumplings and make them even more delicious. The butter's nice and nutty now, and you can see when I put it on, it's got that really nice sort of golden brown sort of look to it, and it smells fantastic. A little spillage over that side there. Pop that over here, and then some chives on top of it. And all I need to do now is tuck into it to show you how delicious it is. It's nice and hot, nice and soft, plenty of lovely herbs in there and some veggies in there as well. You can really taste the chicken. You can taste that butter as well. And you know what? You can taste the milk. It makes it nice and creamy. That's a really good dumpling.